I'm Rhett.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're the House Dads. Because we're dads who sell houses.
But we're also husbands, business owners, sports freaks, Christians,
friends, marketing nerds, TV show bingers, and so many more things.
Like so many of you, we're just trying to do it all. And we're trying to do it well.
And that's what we're here to talk about.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 32 of House Dads. Super excited that you guys are with us. How you feeling today, Rhett?
I am feeling super duper ready and super duper sweaty.
Oh, nice. It's still hot. August, I think this whole global warming thing is real. It's hot. Yeah. And I'm not a scientist, but it is just hot.
We're not political either, so don't take that and run with it.
Yeah, I saw the Barbie movie, so don't crucify me. But anyway, I know. I got some big... Yeah, anyway. So...
Start of the timer. We're
good.
Today
we are going to be talking about a topic that everybody can really relate to. But, man, I'll tell you, it is a special day in the Rishu household because the boys are going back to school.
Get them out of here.
Yeah, I never thought about – and there's a song where it's like, at the end of summer, the kids are ready. The parents can't wait for the kids to go back to school. I love my boys, and I love my wife. Thank God, huh?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And I know y'all were expecting me to say something different. But I'm so happy for my wife.
Yeah.
She gets a little bit of freedom, a little bit of relaxation, even just for a couple of hours while Lucas and Max are off at school. Yours have already been back to school, right?
Yeah, well, Madison went about a week and a half ago. And then Cora Jane will go, I'm pretty sure, she's pretty soon as well. She's doing a mom's day out.
Yeah.
Madison's starting kindergarten. So it's a little staggered time. But yes, very thankful.
I know a lot of people are back in school already. Ours are just getting back in. But, seasons of life.
Seasons of life. And I love seeing all the back to school posts, on social media and stuff. I'm sure when you don't have kids, you're like, get them out of here. Golly, we get it. But, man, as a parent, you're like, it's cute, man. I love it.
Courtney had me print out one of the little sheets, and she's laminating it for the boys to take a picture before they can go back to school just like everybody else. I see there's so many people, and I think they're just angry about everything, but so many people are just like, you can't put your child's information out there. Yeah. I'm like his name and what he wants to be when he gets older?
Yeah, I mean,
like what are they going to do with that?
He wants to be an astronaut. Is he going to be an astronaut? No.
Yeah, right. Like what kind of information are we worried about giving people? Google and the Big Brother already knows it all anyway. But Max said what he wants to be when he gets older. He said he wants to sell houses with Dad.
What?
How cool is that?
That's awesome.
I took him to work the other day. We had a good time, man.
Yeah, put him on a little 30, 60, 90-day trial and see what
we'll see. We'll see.
He'll learn from the best.
Yeah.
But yes, we are getting the structure back. And we're excited to get kind of some more time for Brandy to be at home, not having to take care and wrangle the kids. But with that being said, and kind of going into our topic, we're going back into a new stage of life.
Yes, y'all are.
We're going to be talking about the topic of living fully in every season of your life.
Right.
We are having our third baby.
God bless you.
Very, very soon. Due date is October 4th.
Yeah.
We've been told, hey, don't be surprised if it's a September baby.
Yeah.
So, I'll be honest and transparent. Going back into that newborn stage, which some people here in the room are in already, or one soon to be, it's scary. I'm a little nervous because we've got our rhythms. We've got the team's growing, our family's growing. But, going back to the newborn stage, it's a tough stage in the sense of you're essentially a zombie.
Yeah.
It's an easier stage in the sense of your baby is just laying there.
Right.
You don't have to chase them around.
They sleep more.
They sleep more, but they're inconsistent with their sleep. But either way, it's a tough stage, and it's scary, to think, especially with a third. But it's a new season. Yeah. And, what we're going to be talking about is how when seasons come, even if you know that they're coming or they just kind of hit you out of nowhere, they can be a good thing, and we're going to tell you how to kind of live fully in those things.
And I think the natural tendency is when we go into these new seasons, it's we have to fight the comparison of comparing, okay, I'm going from 2 to 3. You're like, man, I feel like I kind of had a rap on 2. Like I can figure out 2. Not that we have it all figured out, but we at least know what to expect to a degree. Now you're going from man defense to zone, right? Mm-hmm. Y'all are going to be outnumbered.
Yep.
And so it's a big change. And I think comparison is a big part of living fully in every season of life. But what's even more important than comparison is that, or fighting against comparison, is that we have to fight for our contentment.
Yep.
We have to fight to just say we're putting our expectations and our hope in the wrong things, where we're just going to be present in this moment and we're going to be content. Mm-hmm. And that helps us prevent from falling too much into comparison.
Yeah. When prepping for this, I was asking Brandon, is this comparison that we're talking about? And I feel like we both agreed, hey, no, we're not talking about yes, we can in a sense compare our stage with this person's stage or season of life, but it's really, it's that contentment of finding the place you're in worth being in. And I can remember when we first got married, Brandy and I, she was the first of her friend group to get married.
Yeah.
She got married, not necessarily young. I was 25. She was 23.
Yeah.
But all of her friends weren't married. So when we went into that new season of life of marriage and all her friends were still in that other season, it was a hard transition.
That's tough.
Some friendships fell off. And shout out to the past episode we just had talking about friendships.
Yes.
It kind of correlates with that. But it's the same when you have kids. You can go into that season and leave some others behind. And it can feel scary. It can feel, like, am I really ready for this? Is this something I really want to do? But there's contentment to be found in it.
Yeah, that's like the whole thing. It's like, when do you know you're ready to have kids? You're never really ready, right? It's that season, and this is repetitive at this point if you listen, but it's important that next season always requires more of us than the past.
Yep.
And so being content with that, realizing that, hey, 3 kids is probably going to require more of you than 2.
Yeah.
And so being content and okay with that, that's what helps us to live fully.
Yeah. It doesn't make those seasons any less special.
No, absolutely.
Transition is hard. New seasons are hard. But there's contentment to be found.
That's right. That's right.
So, in kind of prepping for this, I was looking for a quote, right, that we could resonate with.
And Thomas Edison didn't have any?
To be continued.
Okay, great. That. Yeah, Thomas Edison is coming.
But there is a quote I found, and it's by someone named B. Oakman. I don't know who that is. I'm sure they're listening to the show. Shout out to you.
B. Oakman.
B. Oakman. And the quote is, "Every season is one of becoming, but not always one of blooming. Be gracious with your ever-evolving self."
That's deep.
I will say, looking at a lot of these quotes, they were very, I don't say feminine.
Yeah, you're not putting that in the
They kind of reach you, which I can see because, a lot of these stages involve a lot more change for females. And so it's kind of like a empowerment of, hey, you got this. But either way, that quote, what resonated with me, the line of every season is one of becoming. You think about it, like you graduate high school, you're becoming a college student, or you're becoming someone in the workforce. You're becoming a spouse. You're becoming a parent. You're becoming a single parent. Which, there's seasons of becoming new things, whether they are, you consider them good or bad or challenging or less challenging, but they're all seasons of becoming.
Exactly. I think that's the important thing is so many times we get focused on the product over the process.
Right.
It's like we get focused on graduating. We get focused on the wedding. We get focused on the job as opposed to the process of all those things coming to pass. And so we glorify the product and forget about the process. And so that's why, like, sticking with the flowers example and everything like that. But if you fall in love, like in spring and summer, with the flowers, if you fall in love with the bloom, and you don't fall in love with the roots, you're never going to be able to last during the winter seasons.
Absolutely.
And so, like, if you're just like, oh man, well, nothing's happening, nothing that I can touch and feel, like I can't grab my diploma, I can't say that I've got the job. If you're obsessing over the product, you're going to lose yourself in the process. Yeah. Not every season is one of blooming, right? The blooming stage is the one that everybody waits for. It's the prettiest, it's the most glamorized, it's the most posted on about social media. But some seasons are just about planting seeds. Some seasons are just about growing. And on cue, there goes the weed eater.
Speaking of roots and planting seeds, here's
I don't know if y'all can hear the weed eater there, but it'll be fine.
Okay.
We keep going.
Yeah. But yes, it's true. Everyone glamorizes the blooming stage. That's what we love to post. That's what we love to kind of just fall in love with. But no matter what, if you're blooming or not, it's still a season of becoming.
Right.
And another quote I found that kind of goes with this is, just because something doesn't do what you planned it to do doesn't mean it's useless.
Solid, man.
I don't know if it's relevant or not, but it's by our good friend Tommy Edison. So
is it really?
I had to slip it in there.
Yeah.
He didn't get a shout out last episode. He's probably like, what are you doing?
Yeah, when Red takes the lead on a podcast, you can absolutely be 100% guaranteed there's going to be some Thomas Edison left in there.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
but
I like it.
But either way, the last part of that quote, again, I'll read it again. Every season is one of becoming, but not always one of blooming. Be gracious to your ever-evolving self. That last line, that last sentence, be gracious with your ever-evolving self. You have to be. Put so much pressure on ourselves that, all right, this season I got to make sure I'm doing this, or I am blooming, or I'm showing this and showing people that I have it together and I'm still relevant. But you got to be gracious with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. I'm so thankful that, like, in my different positions in life and whatnot, that some people will come to me for advice when they're struggling. And all of you, you have that. People come to you for advice when you're struggling. And one thing I always remind them of is like, you're doing better than you think you are. Mm-hmm. Because our mind plays these tricks on us where it's like, if I'm not that finished product, then I'm not doing okay. Right? Or if I hadn't hit that level of whatever I'm wanting to hit in my mind, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where we don't end up achieving it or we don't end up getting to that point. And so just let people off the hook. Be gracious to yourself. And I always want to encourage others, like, you're probably doing better than you think that you are.
Right.
Usually we're our own worst critic. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, give yourself some grace. At the same time, when others are going through different seasons, you got to give them grace as well.
Yes, exactly.
You don't know what they're going through, or sometimes seasons are very obvious, parenting or getting married, but there's other seasons of like, just mental states that we're not necessarily aware of. So
that's right.
Give yourself grace and give others grace as well. So as always with these episodes, we want to give you some encouragement, some tips on how to be content. It's easy to say, hey, just be content in your season. Like,
okay, great.
Yeah, life happens. There's hard things. There's big transitions. So we thought we'd give you some tips and some, just talking points or thinking points to help you kind of try to find that true contentment in your season. And surprise, surprise, the first one. If you've listened to our episodes, everything is rooted in gratitude, right? It all starts there because that is the lens of what you want to see everything else in. So you have to choose to focus on that. So there's a quote that I've shared with the team, and maybe it's a little off-brand. It's not by Thomas Edison. I don't even know who it's by, but being grateful deletes the things that piss you off. Right?
True. Yeah.
So if you are thankful for things, you're not even going to think about the other items that you're not thankful for.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I find myself doing that. Like, it was just the other day where at the end of a day, I'm finally making my way home, and it was like 6:30 or 7. I'd wished it was one of those days that I told Courtney. She asked what time I was going to be home. I originally planned to be home at 5, and it was 6:30, and I was finally getting there. And as I'm pulling in the driveway, I get another phone call.
Right? Classic.
And it was so that's why that resonates with me about being grateful deletes those things that piss you off, because I wanted to just be frustrated. I wanted to be mad, but I'm grateful that I asked for this. Mm-hmm. I asked to be in this position where people would call me and say, hey, Brandon, you have something of value to add to this, and so I want your opinion on it.
Yeah.
And so, there's times where it can get frustrating and difficult, but I'm grateful that somebody would call me and ask me those questions.
Yeah, and it's a choice. Like, we have to choose that gratitude, and starting your foundation with it. I was getting a haircut yesterday. I'm sure a lot of people watching this and be like, wow, fresh haircut.
It looks great.
But the girl that was cutting my hair, she was telling me how her car broke down the other day in like a whole nother city, like Lake Charles or something. She had to walk like 10 minutes, and like there was just this big ordeal. And she was like, and you know what, Rhett? I think it was like her mom. Her mom was like, I'm so sorry you had a bad day. And she was like, honestly, I was by myself. I wasn't injured.
Wow.
There was actually a little breeze when I was walking. Like, she was just finding all of these things to choose to be thankful for. Yeah. Even though her car's broken down and probably totaled. Yeah. But she was choosing to find and be grateful for the things they're good,
I kind of got away from doing this, but it's a good practice. And this was many years ago, but I got to take a mission trip to Puerto Rico. And when we went there, a lot of these mission trips, that, they're customized and they're made and they're crafted to have an experience. And sometimes it's more for the people that are going than the people that you're serving, right? The first day we land in San Juan, one of the most beautiful places in the world, and we're driving all around San Juan and all around Puerto Rico and seeing these different types of beaches that Puerto Rico has to offer. And then we get to the place that we're staying to serve. And I'd never seen anything like this before in my life. They had bunk beds in this cinder block building that were 5 high. Like, there was bunk bed. It was insane. There was no AC in these buildings, right? And so the first day, 90% of everybody's like, let's go. I don't want to be here anymore. Right. We had to reassess of why we were thankful for being there. And one of the guys that was there was leading the trip. It was almost sarcastic, but every time he would say it, it would help all frame our perspective. He'd always just say, this is my favorite. Even when it was just like when we were in the shower, I'll never forget, it was so hot, you're in the shower sweating. And you're like, this is not good. This is counterintuitive. And he'd just be like, this is my favorite. Yeah. Like, in the morning, we'd be eating scrambled eggs, and you'd be fighting the gnats off for your scrambled eggs. He'd like, this is my favorite. Just a little extra protein.
Love it.
So just that gratitude, being able to shift it, being able to say that. it changes everything.
Absolutely. We talked about this before on, choosing to be grateful and what you can do to practice those things. So whatever it is for you, if it's journaling, if it's those daily affirmations that you speak, but they're just so simple, like little things. I'm thankful for the time with the friends I've had in my life. If you are going through a season of transition with friends, I'm thankful for the financial security my job provides for myself and my family. If you're like, work is just getting me down, be thankful for the financial security of it. I'm thankful for the healthy, breathing babies that feel comfort with me as their parent when they're crying for me in the middle of the night. So you get it. Just choosing those things to be grateful for, it just goes a long way.
Yes.
Going on to the next thing, we had this same episode, or a topic on another episode, embracing change.
Right.
We've had a full episode on that. Right. I don't know which number it is, but go back and watch it. But what's the quote of embracing change?
Yeah, the only thing that remains the same is that change is always happening.
Yep.
It's inevitable. It's happening. So that change is going to happen. So are you going to change with it, or are you going to stay the same?
Yep. What he said. But we give benefits of what change can bring. That's a good thing. We embrace it. We get that new season. It can be just a really fruitful time. So embrace it and embrace something new that grows you, because change brings growth. When you're in a new season, that's an opportunity for you to become the next thing that you're becoming and grow from it.
Yeah. And the next point is why we do House Dads. Yeah. Is to surround yourself with a community who's in the similar season of life that you're in. I know a lot of you watching may not necessarily be dads. You may not be realtors, but you're still wanting to grow. You're still wanting to better yourself. And when you're surrounding yourself with people who are in similar places of life that you're in, then you're going to be able to do life together. You're going to be able to see they are struggling with the same things I'm struggling with, right? They're working and improving the same things that I'm working to improve. And what helps is that you can get encouragement realizing that you're not alone. But a lot of times the places that you're struggling, when you give encouragement back to other people it starts to even take care of itself. Yeah. It starts to help a little bit.
For sure.
So that's why this is a big deal, is develop a community. That's what we're doing, is developing a community of people trying to do the same thing, who are wanting to grow their businesses, wanting to grow their lives, but not forsaking their family, not forsaking the things that God has called them to. And so, so that point is surrounding yourself with a community in a similar season. And the next is avoiding comparison, right? I think that when we're trying to live fully in the season of life that we're in, we can compare our lives to others, but we can also compare our lives to how things used to be.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go back and think oh man, I remember when we didn't have to get a babysitter to go to a movie. I remember how easy it was when, we didn't have this many bills, or we didn't have these many responsibilities. You have to fight against that comparison. Even comparing of what you think will be.
Yeah.
Like comparing about, oh man, when the kids just get older, or when, I just get this job. We can't compare against different seasons in life, and we definitely can't compare to somebody else who's in a totally different season. We've said it before, and I'll say it again. Don't compare your chapter 2 or 3 to somebody else's finished book.
Yeah.
We're in different seasons.
It's a slippery slope, too, in our industry of we're in sales, and we want to sell more than the other or whatnot. And it's easy to look at another agent and be like, man, I wish I could get to the office earlier, but the season I'm in, I've got to bring at 9:00. I've got to bring them to Mom's Day Out. But they're in a different season of life where their kids are older. They can either drive, or they're starting school earlier. So that's a different season.
Yeah, I have to fight against it all the time when it comes to business, because I think about, I'm like, oh well, I really have to fight against this, because the thought that comes in my mind the most is well, if the only thing I did was real estate, I could do this.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Or if I did, it just. Those different things, we start to give into this victim mentality, we've talked about before, where it's woe is me, if only I had this, no, you're choosing it.
Yeah.
If it's going to be, it's up to you. Don't pass the blame. Don't compare. Be present. Be in your season, and that's all you need to worry about.
Absolutely. Next point is to prioritize self-care. So that can sound pretty vague. But that's really anything that you can do to take care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. One thing that I've just found that I just need to do in the morning is do some sort of workout or exercise.
Yes.
The pre-workout also helps wake me up a little bit.
Yes.
But either way, you got to find, if it's a hobby, if it's a passion, you don't have to put those to the side. Yes, you're not going to be able to maybe do them as much in a new season, but you have to prioritize time to be able to fit those in, because that's what kind of, just releases you give peace of mind.
Exactly.
As you're going through some chaotic moments or just a new season. But I can promise you'll never regret when you're done exercising or spending time with Jesus or just finding a time to sit. You're never going to regret that. So you need to find the time to fit those in, because again, when you prioritize yourself and fill yourself up, you're able to pour yourself out to others.
Yeah. I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and he was struggling because he felt like he just wasn't. His oldest son was just kind of giving him some hard times, and he felt like he just wasn't being the best dad and the best husband that he wanted to be. And what we got down to is, like you just said, he's kind of pouring out of an empty cup. Yeah. That's why we talked about it before, like being selfish with our mornings so we can be selfless with the rest of our day. We have to prioritize taking care of ourselves. Got to put the oxygen mask on ourselves before we can help anybody else.
It is super, super important. Especially as a parent.
Yeah.
we can't help our kids and teach them and lead them if we're not feeling those things ourselves.
That's right.
Last point we have for you is to let go of the past, be present in the present, and look forward to the future. There's been times where I feel like I fall into this like nostalgic spiral of like high school. Every time I pass my old high school, which is not very often,
I pass it mine all the time.
Oh man, those days, that was just so fun. I didn't have many responsibilities.
Yeah.
And it's kind of dangerous because it leads you to maybe a little bitterness of, like you say earlier, like, man, if I didn't have these responsibilities, I could live that a little more.
Right.
But you got to let go of that. It was a fun time. It was awesome. And it helped you grow. Hopefully you got something out of that stage or that season, but you got to let go of it. You got to be present in the present. Obviously, whatever season you're in, look for the opportunity of growth there.
Right.
And then you can look forward to the future, not in an unhealthy way of just wanting the future before you can be present.
Right.
But it is something to look forward to.
Exactly.
The next season is going to be something special too. So one day you're going to look back and miss, if you choose to have this mentality, you'll look back and you'll miss things, and that's okay. You got to let go.
You're going to miss the season that you're in right
you're
now
gonna
in
miss,
the future.
You're going to miss where you are, and that's not something that you want to do, because this season can be it's a slippery slope, because you'll want the last season, and the next season comes, and you want the last season you just had. It's just like, be present.
Yeah,
be present.
Exactly.
So to end this with another quote, joy is not a season, it's a way of living. So, every season is going to involve something new and different of you, but joy is not a season. It's in every season that we have.
Yep, there's a huge separation between happiness and joy.
Yep.
Happiness is circumstantial. It's not something that a lot of times we can choose, right? But our joy is something that whatever the seasons change, whatever things happen to us, we can remain consistent. We can remain rooted. How about that?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, is if your roots are in the right place.
Right.
A lot of time we're trying to fix in these seasons, like these symptomatic issues, these things that you'd consider to be the flowers or the blooming. But when we get down to the seeds, when we get down to the roots, that's where we can stay rooted in. That's where we can stay content in. Right. Because that stuff doesn't move. That stuff doesn't change.
For sure.
So it's good stuff, man. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I love it. Whatever season you feel like you're in, if you feel stuck, practice these things and see if they can help. And I just hope, you got some sort of value from it. Because it's definitely, I'm going into a new season where I feel like I'm going to have to practice these things.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing. So there's other people going through other seasons to acknowledge that as well.
Yeah. Find joy in the little stuff. Find joy in those deeper roots. Find joy in those smaller moments.
Yeah.
So you won't be worried about the product.
For sure.
You're going to fall in love with the process. So, guys, we can't thank you enough for being here. We hope that this was helpful for you. We'll see you next time.
See ya.